I am pretty good at Irish goodbyes. Are you familiar with this?
It's just when you leave.
Yeah, leave without like telling anyone, saying bye or whatever.
Yeah,
Like
that's not a
you just do it.
skill. It's not like a
I'm
thing
really
you.
good at it.
No, that's the opposite of a skill. A skill would be being good at not doing that. That's just like, you know,
Not leaving.
no, it would be
I feel
like
like anyone can
saying
do that. You
goodbye to
just stand
people,
there.
right? Like the skill, the actual action being taken would be to mitigate the rudeness. That's the skill, the navigation of the social situation. Whereas this is much different. It is simply taking no action to mitigate the awkwardness and just leaving. That's not something you can be good at. That's just called leaving. Like,
So I think it does mitigate awkwardness because you don't have like you have to go around the room saying awkward goodbyes to all these people, whoever's there, right?
yeah.
Instead you just dip. But it's important to dip without being seen because this has never happened to me, but in theory could happen is someone sees you leaving and then you have to have the awkward goodbye while they also try to like guilt/shame you for leaving in such a manner. I don't
Right.
get caught, is what I'm saying. And I feel like all of these things that we've just talked about are tangentially related, where I'm just like worming my way out of stuff, you know,
Sure. But I
and
feel
being
like
great
if
at it.
I saw you like leaving a party doing the worm, I think I would be more likely to notice you personally. So I'm surprised that that strategy works for you.
You blend in, you
I
know.
that
It's like,
is
oh
that
yeah,
is
there's
that is
Jerry just doing
shocking
the
to
worm
me.
again, and then boom, I'm gone.
Yeah, he just disappears. You just like do the worm out the door, down the stairs, and just like off into the night. You might see him doing the worm down a street. That's the move.
But that's why I have to do the worm all the time, I guess, so that they never know.
Right.
I
It's got to become your main mode of transportation. Otherwise, people notice if you only do it when
that's
you're leaving.
it's game theory optimal, really.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of game theory optimal, don't buy Infinity Ultron.
What if not only did I buy Infinity Ultron, but I bought the chibi skin?
I gotta tell you, I hate to say this. I also did that. I spent 6,000 tokens on Infinity Ultron, and that skin showed up, and I was like, it's only 700 gold.
That's because it's not very good, though.
I like it. I think it makes it look like he's going like rah at you. I think it's I enjoy the whimsical ones where like the dumber my cards look, the more I enjoy playing them. And like this
That's
scales with how
why I love
annoying.
pixels.
Those don't look dumb so much as bad. Like they just look they're there.
It's half and half. It's half and half.
Yeah.
Some of them are really good.
It scales with the degree to which the card itself is annoying though. Like
True.
the more annoying my card is, the more I either want it to look really good or really bad. If I am playing a hobgoblin, I want you to look at that and be like, I hate this guy. I hate having to look at this. If I'm
I think,
playing and things of those nations, those ones I want to be
yeah,
like pixel and bananas and gross.
yeah, you're right. I forgot about the like banana waves kind of
Mhm.
nonsense you can do now, but like this is open up an entirely new meta where if you're playing like Living Tribunal, maybe Hela, but like Hela doesn't exactly fit in this camp, but yeah, like any of the goblins certainly,
Mhm.
like you gotta Dan hip those, and you gotta bananas, and you gotta do the swirly waves.
I'm also a fan of the contrast. So I have like the Peach Momoko Thanos, but I use a split I got that's like water and bananas, and it's just like I think it makes it look very funny to just like have the dumbest possible option on like this the closest thing Marvel has to like genuine art where it's like someone being like I'm trying to express a certain thing here. I'm not just drawing like a vaguely realistic half anime gooner bait kind of, you know what I mean, right? Like I'm
Yeah, but then you're
drawing
like, oh,
something that is
bananas.
not. I'm sorry.
But then you're like, oh, add bananas on it.
Yes, add bananas on it. Like just take
Mm.
something that is like genuinely attempting to be taken seriously, and then just be like, that is absolute garbage, and I've decided to ruin it.
I don't think I have water on any of my cards.
That can't be true. That actually, you get it at like level 18 or something.
Okay, my highest mastery is level 22. It is Miles Morales Spider-Man.
And you don't have water.
Checking.
You definitely do.
I've Gilded Prism, Gold Prism. I might have water. Yeah, I do have water for Miles.
Yeah, I thought so. Ladies and gentlemen.
That's my highest. That's my highest, though. What's my next highest?
Miles was also very high for me. I think it's because he's been in a couple season passes and bundles and stuff. So people just have a lot of variants for him. He was pretty high for me. I was surprised by that. He was like 26. And for context, my highest is Thanos at 29. But I have now completed Thanos. I have no idea why I would ever want another split beyond Water Banana. That's just as good as it gets.
Okay, I figured it out. You know why I didn't know? Is because all the cards that I have highest up are also the ones that I have inked. So I did not go through and look at like all the new stuff that I got for them.
Yeah, that is sort of one of the failings of character mastery, which is that the old system sort of primed people to think of inked and or gold as I'm done with that. And trying to introduce new things to go get is very hit or miss if they're not necessarily as cool as the ones people already have.
Yeah.
That said, our questionable purchasing decisions Infinity Ultron aside, the card is not very good. It's super cool, but it's kind of like if Agamotto was... I am sort of torn by the two reactions, like Agamotto and Infinity Ultron, where these are like very similar cards, but people were convinced Agamotto was broken, and people are convinced Infinity Ultron is pretty bad. And I don't think Infinity Ultron is as bad as people think, in much the same way that I didn't think Agamotto was as good as people thought, but I am sort of confused as to the difference in the reactions, and I think they're mostly down to, like, when you get Agamotto cards, you don't really feel like you've committed as much as you have. Like, when you're playing the Agamotto cards, you don't feel, oh, this would be a game that I would have won if these cards weren't in my deck. It's not as obvious, right? But when you play Infinity Ultron, it's like, oh, my stones are crap. This card sucks. Direct 1-to-1. This is bad.
Also, it's skipping the most important turns. Or like spending your most important turns to do that. Whereas you could Images of Icon on turn 4 or something and maybe lose as a result of that, but then you still have your turn 5 and 6. It's not as in your face.
Yeah, like the downside of something like Agamotto is much more hidden. And you could see this in the way that people were like looking at something like for example, Winds of Watum and being like, that's so busted. I can't believe they made that card, and not understanding the inherent downside of adding a bunch of cards to your deck, right? Agamotto starts with one card in its deck less than Thanos. And none of Agamotto's spells are drawing cards. And they're not on the board, and they're not contributing to points, and it's like, this equation seems a little iffy to me. But because it's hidden, because it's obscured, people sort of convince themselves that Agamotto was like this super insane busted card for a month, and now that people have discovered that there's another card like Thanos that also adds cards to your deck but does it in a stronger way because they draw cards, Agamotto's like basically gone.
Yeah. One of them does sort of draw a card occasionally.
Yeah, this might be my biggest whiff ever as a Marvel Snap like card evaluator. I thought that one was the best spell. The one that drew the card. I was like, man, that's awesome. And then it's like, I don't really know a lot of math. I don't think this math checks out, but 50% of the time, you draw Agamotto first. Ergo, 50% of the time, that card does nothing. And then it's really bad.
It does feel pretty solid when it like fills your curve and you haven't drawn Agamotto quite yet or whatever, but yeah. A lot of times where you're just like, I already don't have resources. I'm going to play this to +3 my guy that I may or may not play.
Those turn ones where it's like, okay, I have Zabu and I have this. I know the correct play is Zabu, but I also know if I don't play this card, I'm going to draw Agamotto immediately. It's tough.
Yeah, I think if Zabu was do what it does, but also skip your draw step.
Maybe they should do that to Zabu. I mean, I know you're an avowed
Yeah.
Zabu hater, like the biggest of all time.
I'm a Zabu lover, actually, but I recognize that it's too strong.
I don't think you can like I feel like if you're like an endangered species lover, typically that means that you don't want to brutally murder the endangered species. Like,
It's for the betterment of the game,
right.
but
And I
I
think you
still
could
have Zabu in
argue,
the vast majority of my decks.
right. But I think you could argue that, like, again, if we're attempting to do like preservation here, it does not involve culling.
What good is it for me to say that Zabu should maybe be nerfed and then just like take it out of all of my decks? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like if
It
I
would
think a card is too
demonstrate.
strong, if I think a card is too strong, it should be in a lot of my decks, right?
Sure, but it would demonstrate a moral commitment to the cause that, frankly, I think more creators have lacked. I think maybe a boycott could get some action done here. It's worked in real life. I bet it could work here.
By not playing with the busted card, which means that you probably just lose to other people who decide to play with the busted card or aren't terminally online
Which
and don't know that there's a
raises the
boycott.
busted card's win rate, which then gets it on their radar and gets it nerfed, presumably by 1 point, because that's the only thing OTAs ever do.
Wouldn't it just raise Zabu's win rate if you, a good player, put Zabu in your decks?
Right, but we're not talking about me.
So you're saying your hypothetical is that for Zabu's win rate to go up, I personally should stop playing with it.
Yes, that is my hypothetical. I think that you need to really commit to this movement. I think that you play it in all of the decks that you like. The fact that you play it in all of these decks, I know you like brewing, right? So you're probably playing it in some ass. You probably got the like 10 of the worst Zabu decks of all time. You're probably out here playing Zabu Toxie. And that, just the idea of it, makes me very upset.
I have not
Personally.
unlocked that card yet. But
But you would.
yeah,
It's the
I
thing.
would. I would, and I would still win over 55% of my games. So
We got to figure out a way to rig the stats, right? Like we gotta get in there and pay $80 and make sure Zabu's win rate looks really messed up by the next time they do an OTA.
$80 for what?
50 cubes.
Oh,
Oh, I have my exchange rate backwards. It's $50 for 80 cubes, right? Is that correct?
50 for 8, I thought. Wasn't
No, it
it?
was 50 for 80.
Okay.
There's no
Yeah,
way
it
it
was
was 50 for 8. I can't there's no chance of that. I would not be throwing away that kind of value. Like, come on now. But it was like 50 for 80. The point is, if we pooled all the money we make from this podcast in a month together, we could buy 160 cubes.
Oh, I was gonna say I make $0. So
Yeah. I
for
asked you if you wanted to make money on this, and you were like, I literally do not care. Which is good because we do not make a lot of money on this. I have not figured out how to get paid off of Spotify listens in any way. I get paid off YouTube. I have no idea if I make any money on anything else.
I mean, our podcast, even when we were banging, we didn't get shit from Spotify. So
Okay, so it's just like not a thing. I had absolutely no idea if there was like a setting I had to go look for or something. Maybe I can get my like 7 cents on the dollar or whatever.
or
But I
maybe I was
do
blowing it. I don't know.
yeah, yeah,
Possible.
entirely. Um I do want to circle back to Infinity Ultron here. What's nice for those who
Yeah.
are audio only, Gerry has picked up a cat fairly like ignominiously. The cat didn't seem overwhelmingly happy with it, but just sort of dumped it onto the screen in much the same way that you might like dump out a can of tomatoes. Just applied
Wow.
it, like just applied
Nah,
it here.
she's chill. You just pick her up.
Oh, she is chill, but also the way in which you did that did indeed resemble dumping out a can of tomato. Ah, yeah, yeah. She doesn't like whatever it is you're doing right now.
No.
Yeah,
No, there's no
you should
claw involved. She just puts her paw on my nose.
you should let her
So she
inside your
has
hoodie. You
something.
should you should zipper her inside your hoodie right now.
She won't stay. Ren would stay if he's around.
Mm. Does she have any burning opinions on Infinity Ultron? Or, just sort of like, did I mention the card and she like leap off your lap? Because I think that kind of speaks for itself.
I mean, she's right here, just
Right.
rubbing her head again. I have like a platform with my monitors on it, and she's just like bashing her head against that. Just
So,
giving me
would you
all the
say
squishes.
positive opinion, negative opinion? Well,
Come here, I'll
what's
scratch
your
your face.
read? What's your read?
Indifferent. It
Indifferent? That, yeah.
doesn't taste like cat treats. She don't care.
No, I mean that sounds about right for Infinity Ultron, right? Like this is a
Yeah.
card that people were excited for, and I think in a sort of continuing pattern for a while, there hasn't been a new card that's really made a lot of waves. They've really kind of made a bunch of grandmasters where like people go and buy it and then they're like, "Damn, I should have just bought Sam Wilson." Like, so
Well,
yeah,
they should have bought Sam Wilson, yes, but
sure.
I don't know. You could buy some other card if you think it's strong or fun or whatever. I think that's okay.
I think both Kahori and Goliath are playable if not good personally. Like I think those cards are just actually good. But they're
Goliath is
more like,
certainly good, just narrow.
yeah, they're more like role players than they are absolute stars or like definers. And a card like Infinity Ultron, I honestly feel like it's kind of a whiff if it's not a star player. Like, are there cards in Magic where this card comes out and you're like, this is so clearly intended to be like a centerpiece, and then it just totally whiffs? Has that happened a lot? Is like Elder Gargaroth kind of an example? Sort of where my head is at.
No, actually, that card saw like more play than it should have, probably.
Huh.
Uh, there are numerous examples of those types of cards, but sort of the problem is that Magic also releases a ton of cards,
Sure.
and they are able to like they don't have to get every single thing right.
Mm-hmm.
So the full card half card thing that I talk about comes from them, and it is basically like to develop a system for. And granted, this was a decade ago, so like their system is probably much different now. But it was basically like, do we have enough constructed shots? Not like, oh, if this specific card does not see play, we are boned. It was
Mm.
just like, add up all the points. What do we think? Like, does this set look like reasonable enough?
That's probably a really good way to look at things. And like in Marvel Snap terminology, I feel like they're hitting this point where there are only 12 cards in decks. And the only way a new card is going to see play is if it is immediately competitive with decks that have been around for a while, or if it replaces one of the 12 cards in an established deck. And Goliath in ongoing, Kahori in Misery or Thanos, those are examples of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
At a certain point, does it not become increasingly hard to make a Goliath or make a Kahori? And you have to start actually putting the power on the Infinity Ultrons of the world, which is a riskier proposition because they have much more room to be broken.
I mean, yes and no, because in theory, yes, design space is limited, but there is also potentially unexplored design space, I think. Like there are things, for example, I don't know, like uh Doom 2099 or like
Mm-hmm.
Thena, where they have like these very specific trigger conditions, but like we don't have a deck built around them. Like we only have the one card. They could just do more things in that space and then make more support cards for that kind of thing. I'm not saying that either of those would like be good design space to mine or anything, but in theory, that is stuff that you could do. So you can make new archetypes, right? And you can put that keyword on pile of stats, much like Doom 2099 is and was.
Yeah.
But uh given given the way that they release cards, that seems tougher to do because I don't know, say you want to make like 6 cards to seed a deck. You just start slow dripping releasing them and like no one buys them until all 6 are out, and then it's like, oh, this deck is good, but like crap, now I want to get all these cards, but how do I? I literally can't. But maybe
Yeah,
the
Snapbacks should
packs
fix
change
that at
things.
least. but like I don't know if it'll fix that in a way that makes them feel comfortable doing that, because even if you can get all the cards going back, you still have to have like the base token expenditure, right? And so you end up releasing a bunch of things where it's like if card A needs cards B, C, and D, and cards B, C, and D all cost you 5,000 tokens, it's like, all right, so card A actually costs 20,000 tokens. Like, that's actually what you're asking there, and that's a higher asking price than a normal card.
Yeah, in theory, some of them could be Series 4 cards,
Mm.
like given away with modes or whatever too. Or they could do something else. I don't know, but they did, for example, like when Kitty was super messed up, they did just give Kitty to everyone. Like that
Yeah.
is certainly a thing that they could do. They could sell like a pre-constructed deck or whatever if they wanted to do that. Probably don't want to, I would guess, but
I am
too easy.
struck by one sort of through line in their balancing recently that I think might be coming to an abrupt end. I'll say that. But I feel like whatever it is they do balance wise, they're very averse to like energy cheat and combos. They're very averse to be like, they really don't like things that have sort of undefined upper limits. They're much more willing to make a rate monster if you know there's a cap on that rate monster, because that can't be too broken. That's a numbers issue that can be solved with numbers, right? They're super
Sure.
willing to explore the space of a Scream or a Sam Wilson, cards that have inherent limitations on their scaling despite being incredibly strong. But they're much less willing to explore, like, okay, maybe this card gets broken with Quinjet, but when's the last time anything that was broken with Quinjet that didn't cost 0, right? Like, maybe, and like, so like, it feels like when you look at Infinity Ultron, it's like, it feels like they balanced around Quinjet and overbalanced around Quinjet, right? Or you look at a card like, I think a good example of this would be Firehair, where it's like, this is a cool thing to do, but we have clearly put it in a situation where we're very sure that it's not actually going to be good. Like, it'll be good maybe at some point when we give it more tools, but as it releases, I feel like they were pretty sure this is going to be more fun, more grandmastery, more unique than it is spiky Sam Wilson-y, right? And in turn with this, I feel like we've hit a point where there are actually very few combo decks in Marvel Snap. I don't know when that happened, but we have hit that point.
I mean, I'm fine with that. I don't want everyone to be playing like Hella versus Tribunal or whatever. I think that that
Mhm.
is pretty boring. I like it more when there are a lot of micro decisions that do matter. I think, for example, like Iron Patriot is a very good card to exist. I think that that card creates good incentives. Maybe not, maybe it shouldn't be a 2/3. Maybe it shouldn't have discounted by 4, like whatever. But I think that sort of thing, like a 2-drop that incentivizes people to play the Hydra Bobs and Gladiators and stuff, like, oh, that's just good. I think that is good for the game. So yeah, I am down if you limit energy cheat or potentially game winning things to do on turn 6 or turn 7 or whatever, and bring the game back to like Zoo versus Angela Bishop kind of stuff, like more small ball, more fair. I think that that's more of what the game should be about.
I mean, that's what it's about right now. That's the metagame we're in. We're
Yeah,
playing
it's great.
Thanos Blarval Spectrum. Like, we're doing that, and it's really good versus like, a Scream deck, right? It's just that I keep looking for like, okay, surely there's a deck that can be like the Hella of this meta, just something that goes just taller than all the small ball. And it's like, maybe that's discard, but discard has this thing where it either draws badly or you never get good snap equity out of it because your opponents have 2 brain cells, or you're just like randomly vulnerable to like 8 different tech cards and you get blown out
Hmm.
that way. And so there's no thing to exist in the combo space. Like, typically the way it is like there's like a really good combo deck, and then there's Mr. Negative, which goes over the top of that really good combo deck. And right now, it's just Mr. Negative. Like, that's it. That's the really good combo deck and the thing that goes the tallest. And it's weird, right? Because normally there would be something that is more consistent with slightly less power, but we don't have anything occupying that space.
Realistically, it kind of makes sense for uh you to just kind of cut out the middleman and have that stuff not exist though, if like we're just gonna get to the Mr. Negative end game anyway.
Sure.
Right? Like that stuff is just gonna get pushed out. Like in theory, it's like, okay, this thing is a little bit more consistent, still beats up on Thanos, does bigger numbers than them, but then can potentially lose to negative. But I don't know. Like if it's just not even doing its first job all that well, then yeah, it probably should not have any space to exist.
Yeah, and the reason I think this might be like slamming to an abrupt halt is the data mine card Quentin Inquire looks like it does a whole lot for Nimrod combo. Like just a
What
pretty vast amount. That is the
what the hell is that?
that's the 2/2, I believe. That just does it just like eats the next thing you play on an activate ability and gains its power. So it's just like not only are you like, playing Quentin Quire Shuri Nimrod, right? It should be on SnapFan. But you are sorry, his name is Kid Omega. Sorry. That's
Okay.
like the
That
actual name of the
that makes
card.
sense. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I have not seen that.
No, yeah, Quentin Quire, sorry, that's his real name. That's his Kid Omega is
Oh,
his
you're on a
Namda
first name basis.
Yeah, no, I mean, I actually did recently read Grant Morrison's new X-Men, in which Quentin Quire is a main character, and that's actually what next season is themed around. So I'm familiar with like all these dudes. But yes, Kid Omega coming to an like we're slamming to a halt on the like they don't make enough combo cards thing, because that card feels like it's just kind of gotta be messed up. I don't know how that card isn't messed up. That's just like absurd, right? Like this is a card that if you play Shuri and you play Nimrod, it immediately pops the Nimrod, gains 12 power, and that's turn 5.
Is that actually good though?
Yes.
Is that enough? Is that enough?
For a turn 5? Yeah, I kind of think 36 power is enough, because then you go into turn 6 and it's like, "Oh, okay, here's 36 more or 48 more." Yes, I think that's enough.
All right.
Like I just like I look at that card and I'm like, damn, they were like, what if we made a second Hela? What if we turned Nimrod into Hela? What if we made it harder to interact with this deck? And it's like, okay, sure. I'll put an armor in the Shuri lane. Great. Great job. What if they just play Galacta, play Nimrod anywhere, Quentin Quire pops it, that's 9 on the Quentin Quire, 9 going across the board, boom, 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 more 9s. That seems like enough to win too.
I don't know, man. Like the Kid Omega Shuri Nimrod nut draw, like plus another explode 'em ups thing. Sure. I feel like you could still get outpoints by the Thanos deck, but you still have to draw
Maybe.
all those cards. Like, what if you miss any piece of that?
Right. I haven't figured out that part yet, but I mean, we'll get
Okay.
there.
I mean, that seems kind of important, no?
I mean, it could just be like Phoenix Force, right? Like, this card just
Sure.
seems
Okay.
like it's just like extremely strong baseline, and then it also gets to like gain the power, right? Like, this is a card where I look at it and it's just like, I find it hard to believe that this card will not give some deck involving Nimrod a real shot at occupying that smaller than Mr. Negative, bigger than the mid range decks combo output situation.
I think the card itself is strong. I am just generally skeptical of Nimrod. That's all.
I mean, that's probably a good thing to be based on the comics that I've read. He seems like kind of an asshole. But I also feel like there's this situation going on where it's like I feel like they're overly harsh on combo, and it's also never been good. And so like it's sort of, do you remember when my big thing was like they're not putting enough into ongoing because there are so many good answers to ongoing, they need to be making more
Mm.
broken ongoings? And then they actually did start doing that. I no longer have that critique. But now I think they need to be making more broken combo cards and just like actually pushing it.
I think it is time to get some better hate cards.
Better than
Yeah.
this? What do you
Yeah.
want?
Uh like cheaper, more restrictive, like basically give me options. Make it so
Oh,
it's not just, oh, if I want to deal with ongoings, I have to play basically Enchantress, in theory, Rogue or Red Guardian, but like it is basically Enchantress, right?
well, I mean,
And
I
that's
think
like, oh,
mm,
okay, Shang-Chi is for like this subsection of things, Luke Cage is for this like why do we just get like basically one card for each thing? That kind of sucks. I don't like it.
I think it's a consequence of the current system of trying to sell these cards because it's really hard to sell a tech card. I think like that just seems like a hard thing to do, and I do like I think more niches should be occupied. Some people always correct me on niche versus niche, and both are correct. But as I said that, all I could think of was niches get stitches, and I kind of got sidetracked there. But
Got him.
yeah, niches get steeches. So this is, I think, outside of Luke Cage, who is I think uniquely hard to design around, and we all know me, hashtag Nuke Cage. I don't want that guy around because of that. But I do think that there's room for, say, Mobius 2 or whatever, where it,
Yeah.
like, one that just does half of what Mobius is at, like, 2-3, right? There's room for that. Is that fun? Like, is that a thing that people want added to the game other than you? Is there
I
room to
think it
make a
makes
card
deck building more fun.
Is there room to make a card that's like 3-3? Cards can't be discarded that game. Because I see people asking for that. They're like, the thing they don't like about discard is that there's no Mobius for it. Where it's just like, I can't just put one card in my deck and not think about it. And it's like, well, that's probably good, first of all. But second of all, what would a Mobius for that even look like?
I think you can let them discard things, but if a card gets discarded, it gets banished or whatever.
I feel like that doesn't even solve discard in a meaningful way. Like, it would solve
That
Hela or Khonshu.
that that's kind of the point though. It's like I don't
Mm.
want it to be binary of like I put this in my deck, if I draw it you lose, right? Like ideally it does a little bit to disrupt you, but doesn't just completely bone you.
Yeah, I think the problem is that Marvel Snap doesn't really, like, it feels like every tech card in Marvel Snap is just rest in peace. Like
I know, and I
they're
don't
all
like that.
like that.
I really don't like that. I would much rather have there be 2 cost options that, maybe my deck wants a 2 cost, or maybe my deck curves in such a way where on turn 6 I get to play 2 cost thing plus other thing, right? And maybe I don't necessarily want to play like the Shang-Chi or Enchantress or whatever. And maybe 2/3 does not feel as bad of a card to just put in my deck.
You know what I just realized is there's no reason for Fenris Wolf to be an activate, not an ongoing or an on reveal.
Well, there's plenty of reason, right? Is like you play it as a setup card.
Okay, allow me to rephrase. No good reason. Like, isn't it just like, wouldn't the card just be like dramatically better? I guess the use case is you don't Moon Knight it out of your own hand because it's even cost, because you get to actually
Yeah,
have it on the board.
but at that point, if you are going to make that argument, you could in theory change its cost.
Also true. Anyone in for 3-5 on reveal Fenris Wolf, they could print that.
They could, but I don't know. I kind of like the activate one. Like it is vulnerable to stuff like Red Guardian, which creates reasonable counterplay. Like, what if Hello were cheaper and an activate? Like, suddenly all of your problems would be gone, right?
They should do that, actually. That's a good idea.
Yeah, but she big.
I
6
guess.
cost.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I do kind of like the idea of like Hela being a deck where Hela is the bullseye, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
That's like an appealing shape to me. Where it's like I enjoy the idea of just having a bunch of like randomly useful tech cards, like Lady Death striking a Hela. Like that's just cool. Like rug pulling discard with any number of the cards that rug pull discard, like a Gorgon on their Dakin things, right? Or whatever it is that you're doing, right? If they're counting on a bullseye. Two Gorgons off of I've done that one actually, where I've used an images of icon to clone my Gorgon to prevent their bullseye from eating their swarms. I've done that one. Like,
Damn.
that's awesome. That stuff is cool. And so like I do think that that is a like sort of fun aspect of having discard around, such that like I like that there's not just a card that says, you know, Mobius, you lose. You know, I think there's room for that not existing, as long as there's plenty of other things that hit it.
Damn, dude, they got a lot of data mine cards up.
Yeah. You
Yeah,
want to
what the
do
hell?
do you want to do an impromptu data mine video?
I mean, we could. Sounds more
I'm
fun than talking about how Ultron sucks or whatever.
You're allowed to. This is your podcast too. You can be like, yeah, we're doing data mines now. Go nuts. I think the last ones we did were the X-Men ones. Are there ones for further than that? Or are
Yeah,
we
I
still
just
looking
saw
at
like
the X-Men?
I just saw Nightmare, Clea, Ancient One, maybe some other stuff. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We haven't actually covered those on the show. I mean, if you want to, or we could do them next week and just do like a dedicated episode.
Yeah, we could do that.
It's your call.
I am gonna go broke this month though. Oh,
A lot of
crap.
pixels? Rose Besh?
No, unfortunately. No Rose Besh either.
I had Rose Besh Thanos in my shop today. I did not buy it because I have 75 other Thanoses.
Yeah, that's fair. I completed the Rose Besh album, so I do own that one.
Jeez. That's certainly a decision that you have made, Mr. Friendly Whale.
Dude, she's so good. She's
She is
so
very
good.
good.
All of her art is bangers. And I just bought an Aerith print because that was like the only reasonable thing she had on her store.
Yeah, I've been
like
there.
can't sell like the Marvel stuff, right?
Yeah,
So
I've been there, right? Like, it's like, okay, I'd like to support this artist outside of Marvel Snap because they literally don't get paid if I
yeah, and
get
it
their stuff in
sucks.
Marvel Snap. And then it's like, okay, what can I buy from them? And I would like to buy t-shirts, right? And there's just
Mm,
very rarely an availability, especially in the galactic sizes that I wear.
yeah, that is fair.
It's
Uh
tough.
yeah, I don't know. It is I guess it is kind of weird that they sell like prints and not shirts or whatever. I don't know.
It just feels like it would be so easy. Again, we're back on the drop shipping from last episode.
Oh yeah.
We're like, it's the wrong time to get into the drop ship t-shirts business, but they could have been doing it for a while, is all I'm saying.
Oh yeah. No, so Creative House Pocket is gonna break me, I think.
You think so?
Yeah.
Is it
It's
just
just
it's over?
they just make a bunch of tight looking weeb stuff.
Yep. I mean, like, when I was doing that bit earlier about like half anime influenced goon slop, which I stole from a Twitter post. Not even gonna pretend I didn't. But I mean, like, I didn't realize that I was insulting your actual taste. Like, you were just like mad as hell that like
I
I brought that up.
no, I like what I like, you know?
Have you seen the variants on the Chinese server, including the dagger with an enormous ass?
I don't think I've seen that one specifically, but occasionally I will see a Twitter thread.
They're like the Chinese server gets like these exclusive variants, and one of them is like a mega caked up dagger. I'm mixing my words up because in my mind I'm thinking of the image right now, and like all the blood is leaving my brain. I can't even speak thinking
Yeah.
of caked up Chinese dagger.
I thought
Um,
you were referencing the Creative House album, of which I bought half the cards. I did not buy the unplayable ones. I would have bought them all if the variant they gave was not Howard the Duck. So you
uh,
kept saying like Cake Duck, and I was like, yeah, that's stupid
uh,
Howard. I know what you're talking about.
no, I there's like an incredibly caked up dagger And it honestly, like, when I looked at that, I was like, I don't know how that got past their censorship laws, but it definitely, I'm like, good for them, I suppose. And then I started thinking, like, what would we need from a male variant to be the equivalent of that dagger? And I got to like, I think what I need is like, I need to see the imprint of a dong in the spandex. Like
Yeah,
that,
no, that's exactly what I was gonna
I
say.
need to see the
Have you
outline of a head. Like,
have you
that's where
seen
we're at.
500 Days of Summer?
Not in a long time. It's been like actually like probably 16 years. I don't remember that movie at all.
Okay. Uh, I've seen it multiple times, but one of I remember a lot about the movie, but one of the things I remember distinctly is Zoe Deschanel, right?
I think so.
Yeah, JGL is, I think, like doing this make 'em ups thing in his head about like her like new boyfriend or whatever, and like I don't know, calling him the Panther, and then it just shows like bulge, and it's like, oh, this is
Yep.
why they call him the Panther. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that's the variant that I need. I think that like it's okay if we get vaguely anime influenced goon slop, but it needs to be egalitarian. And there's a lot of this discourse going around recently because of Marvel Rivals, to which I will say, the fact that this discourse is being caused by Emma Frost of all people, the most canonically horny character in Marvel, is outrageous to me. This was the discourse you should have had
Why?
about very sexualized Sue Storm, because Emma Frost sexualizing herself is like her thing.
Oh, got it.
It's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like if you wanted to have this discourse, have it about Sue, right? Like that, I think you can be like, oh, okay, they're definitely going into it. But like Emma Frost being like sort of overtly like catered to men's taste is like, that's very much her thing. All of that is to say, I need to see some bulge in Marvel Snap because I just don't think it's fair. And I'm fairly certain, unfortunately, that we're not going to get that out of China. We might get caked up dagger, but I don't think we're getting like, what's the male bricked up? Like, we're not getting any of those. It's tough.
I have not played any Love in Deep Space, unfortunately. I don't know how far they go.
I don't know. I don't get that joke.
Oh, it is the husbando gotcha that is wildly successful.
Good for them. I mean, I appreciate that there's like something out there for the. I'm not really sure because I was gonna say it's out there for like the male on male lovers, right? Which is a massive demographic as far as I'm aware.
I
But
mean,
I don't even know if that's
yes,
true.
but I believe the game is 85% women is their player base.
Yeah, that's what I
And
mean.
they
Like people
oh,
who
was that
love man on man like fanfic type stuff. That's mostly
I
women.
thought you were I thought you were talking about like men liking
No,
men. I thought you were
no,
talking
no, no, no,
yeah,
no, no,
yeah.
no. Talking like my understanding is that like that is the consumers of that tend to be female. That is fairly limited understanding, but that is my understanding.
I believe that as well. Based on my knowledge of it coming from women, yes.
I will also say that we have a running thing where I don't like playing a lot of like Genshin adjacent games because there's no representation for a man who is like slightly wider than very skinny. Like this is a
Mhm.
thing that will come up where he'll like send me a character and be like, "Is this guy jacked enough?" And I'll be like, "No."
I'm
Like,
like, yo, look at this really cut twink. And you're like,
mhm.
nah, man. And I'm like,
No,
oh damn.
that's not what I'm here for.
Tried my hardest.
I'm here for a dude whose arms are the size of his head. I am not here for someone with normal proportions. That's not the fantasy I want to live out. I want to like when I
Yeah.
played Skyrim, it was setting those sliders to the maximum, dude. That's that's what it's about. Set the sliders to the maximum. Make it so you look like you are about to pass out at any second from all of the steroids you have put into your bloodstream. That is my video game power fantasy. And none of these games are able to deliver it to me. Not one. They're all just like a person who looks like a very attractive, well-built, normal man. That's not what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm here for. I want someone whose voice actor is going like all the time. That's what I want. Doesn't exist.
Yeah, for the record, I believe I may have shown you Arataki Ito back in the day, Al Hatham, and then Maide from HSR,
Yeah.
which granted did get you to re-download HSR and pull from Maide, but
That did happen.
not satisfied. And
Well, did that
understandable.
happen? Did that happen, or was it like my gambling addiction? Right? Like, I don't really know if you could chalk that up to my day or just be like, I enjoy gambling.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, is that like you did download it and you did pull for him, but it was more so like he was just the newest banner character and all your characters sucked. Like,
Yes.
they're not actually related in terms of like,
Very
oh,
bad.
this is what you wanted.
Yes, this was not the thing I was signing up for. It turns out, by the way, that when you re-download HSR, what you're signing up for is like 87 different menus of things being thrown in your face that you have to like sort through and figure out what to do. There is so much crap in that game. There is just an endless amount of crap. Like, I gotta tell you.
I just came back.
Yeah.
Good.
I
I
really
just came back from my friend's house.
I hate you
and
so
I was
much.
playing on. We both pause. We both say go ahead.
I did not say go ahead. You said go ahead. I started and then you started.
All right.
No, go ahead.
I was playing on my friend's HSR account, and he is also lapsed, and
Sure.
I was catching him up and going through all those menus, and I did my best. I sped run that shit.
Yeah, I will say this. I appreciate greatly that Marvel Snap is one giant play button. Like, that's such a
It is pretty
nice
nice.
thing. Like, you talk about like, oh my god, I can't believe there's a bugged notification. Dude, there were 18 notifications I could not figure out how to get rid of in Hawkeye. Like, it was just an entire menus of notifications I could not even figure out how to do anything about. We had to like click into them and then click into another thing and then click into a third thing, and then you get to clear the notification, but only if you actually go and do the thing. It's ridiculous. And say what you will about Marvel Snap and the game modes they have chosen. I think I have some choice words on High Voltage, and those words are, I'm not playing it this time. We'll get to that in a bit. But I just can't really see how this is the biggest game in the world? Like one of the biggest games in the world. And it's just not a button that says play, and I can't just like go do stuff. It's crazy.
I don't know. It's part of the gotcha, I guess I'll say, charm.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
No, it is. It's just like bog you down with menus to keep you in the game longer. That is it.
That is, I mean, you got to give it to him. It definitely worked. I spent a while in those menus. But yeah, it definitely like, I don't want to do any of this. Just get me out of these menus. There's no claim all or anything like that. You want to talk a little bit about High Voltage? Are you actually going to play it this time around? Because I got a little bit into it, and then I was like, you know what? I'm good. I am not going to play for Toxidoxy. I'll spend my 2,500 tokens. I don't care. That is incredible. You've really done it, huh? Again, for the audio-only listeners, he is almost at 10k volts.
8,300 points, and I just showed you my missions were cleared. I was a good boy. I did my missions earlier. I'm not gonna claim that I like it, and it is kind of really dumb when it gets to the point where it's just like play 4 more 5 costs to get your 500 points, and it's like, okay, I'll play 3 games, but like we could just both agree that I did, you know?
It does, I think the thing that bothers me the most about High Voltage specifically compared to the other game modes is that the quest cycling system is a logon machine, and I refuse to engage with that. Like, I don't engage with that with the gold they give out. I'm not going to engage with it with the tokens they give out. I refuse to jump on the do your dailies thing. I feel like if I start doing that, it will have a negative impact on my career, such as it is. Because if I log on, I'm going to start playing. If I'm playing off stream, that's dumb. I should be playing on stream. And I'm definitely not going to stream 3 times a day for every quest reset.
No. Uh, I don't see a real reason why it's like, here's 3 quests, and also you're capped at 3 quests, and if you do 2 of them, we don't throw away your other one, and you have no way to, like, cycle through this at all. Like, the dailies are fine, I think, the way it works. Like, 2 every 8 hours, basically, if you log in once a day, you have your 6 quests ready to go, and you can just bang those out. I
Yep.
don't see why this doesn't mimic that to some degree, but, I mean, I understand why, but, like, I really don't get it.
Yeah, I would imagine that this explicit addition to it is something that drives logins, but it's also just like, man, I can't believe that you feel the need to do that. Like, I know that there's a bunch of like weird retention things to think about, but it's just odd that that would be a thing that they care so much about. And they clearly do. They like the change they made to the daily credits, right? Like, they clearly care about like you logging on multiple times per day. And for someone in my position, that is just like untenable. I'm just not going to do it. I want to be able to play the game when I want to play the game for an extended period of time and then put the game down and do something else. And this game does not want you to do that.
No, I don't know. I have many thoughts on stuff like this where, like, I understand why they do it, but I do still feel like games should not punish you for not logging on. It's kind of like the, I guess, like, UI UX thing where, like, if you as a designer design a thing to be used a certain way and then you release it to the public and everyone in the public uses it a completely different way, that is how your thing is designed to be used, right? So if you go into the numbers and you look and you see that the vast majority of people are logging on once a day, cater to that audience. That's what you should be doing.
Yeah, I really the problem is I don't think that's actually how most people like I think it's just me who has like made a sworn decision to never allow like I used to do dailies in like several different gotcha games and I gradually realized that it was stupid and I hated it and then I stopped doing it and my life got way better. I don't really want to overstate it, but like once you stop doing dailies in whatever game it is that you play that has this mechanic, you're gonna enjoy actually playing the game a lot more.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there are definitely a lot of things that go into it where, like, some of the games you really do need to do the dailies in order to feel any sort of progression, but certainly if you have played enough to the point where you're sort of flooded on the generic, like, basic materials or whatever, you can just be a little bit more free, not be beholden to that sort of daily login thing, and it is liberating, let me tell you.
It is sort of frustrating though because it requires this recognition that like this system is built on top of the game to create that tension and frustration to get you to keep playing. They think that if left to your own devices, you will put the game down and you will not come back. So they do not want you to leave. They do not want to leave you to your own devices. They want you to log in and check the shop and buy something out of the shop and look at the bundles and do your web store roll for the Galactus thing. And then you have to click a thing that takes you to the bundles just to make sure you see, dude, we got Quinjet for sale in the web shop on the week that Infinity Ultron released. It's all like this one little machine,
Mhm.
and all of this systems are built on top of what is a great game. And that is applied across genres. There are a bunch of things like this. Like
Oh, yeah.
great game, system welded on to artificially capture attention. And one of the things that I will say about my favorite game series of all time, Monster Hunter, is that they don't do that. They just don't do that. Although there were some like I saw some event quests that had like times on them, which is super frustrating to me because that is them leaning into it. Like you got to log in this week to do whatever it is. But that's kind of a new addition to the franchise. For decades and decades, they just didn't do that.
Yeah, but I think it's a lot different when you're talking about primarily a console franchise versus mobile games, right?
Yeah.
I imagine that the Monster Hunter Pogo game is very much about daily logins.
Yeah. I want to say that's not made by Capcom. It's just like a licensed out thing. So I don't really count it, but also yes. Like I do think, yeah.
If you've seen some of the stuff that like Capcom licenses out though.
Oh yeah, they do a bunch of pachinko machines.
Well, yeah, I mean they
That's like their
license
thing.
out stuff to Crunchyroll, and then Crunchyroll is like one of the most predatory gacha game companies.
Are they actually? Crunchyroll
Yeah.
runs gacha games? Like I've never had a Crunchyroll subscription. I pirate everything I've ever owned. I have no idea what you're referencing here.
I'll look it up. For a while, it was like you could go on their site, look at like, oh, look at our games or whatever, and half of them were already end of service in under a year. And then there was a Reddit thread on that, and then the next day they immediately took them all down, like all the end of service games. And that has basically just been the thing, is like if you see a game where it's like, oh, this looks kind of cool, oh, it's published by Crunchyroll, you know it is a year-long cash grab.
Damn, I gotta get me a year-long cash grab. Cause like people always talk about those things like they're bad, but I could use some cash and I would like to grab it. And I don't know. I think maybe they're only bad when they're being done to me and not being done by me. You know what I mean? Which is to say that I'm here to announce the KMBest Gotcha game. It's definitely real, and it definitely is not you sending money to my PayPal account. I will also say this: we've talked ad nauseum about my Twitter algorithm and the ads I see on this podcast. We have discussed the way in which people think that it's actually the reason I'm getting an ad for a mouth attached to a wire frame is because that's what I'm into. I would like to
all
point
I'm
out,
saying is I never saw that ad.
I mean, your loss. But all I'd like to point out is my most recent notable Twitter ad was from a guy doing an Easter cryptocurrency, which is $risen, which I shouldn't even mention because probably some asshole listening to this is going to be like, thanks for the free promo, and go like actually buy this garbage. But like the bottom line in it was like, thanks be to God for it will rise. And it's just like, you know what? Like, I that is one of the most, like, if I had to see a million ads for wireframe blowjob machine, I would watch every one of those ads before I gave a single view to Easter cryptocurrency. The concept of that should make you want to consign the person who made that to hell. If hell isn't real, I will endeavor to make it real for that specific person. That is one of the most evil concepts I have ever heard of. One of the worst things on earth. And there are so many bad things.
Apparently Crunchyroll now has this thing where they have like an Xbox Game Pass or whatever. And it's like stuff that, as far as I know, they did not make. But I guess if you have Crunchyroll Premium, you can now just play these games for free on iOS. So they have like some sort of deal with these other companies. I don't know. This is weird.
I thought Crunchyroll, and forgive my ignorance here, I thought they were an anime company.
They were /are.
Okay. They've moved into generalized weeb shit.
Yeah, so I sent you a link, which I realize you can't necessarily like tab out of.
I cannot, yeah.
But the games that they currently have and is listed as newest games, and it shows
Sure.
5 of them. It does not show the dead games. One Punch Man, Street Fighter Duel, which I did play and like was a reasonable game. But yeah, super incredibly cash grabby, and I bounced off it. Lord of Nazarick, never heard of it. Bloodline, The Last Royal Vampire, and then Eminence in Shadow. I knew wasn't anime because I was getting ads for the game. But because it's like an RPG gotcha game, which is like in theory kind of in my wheelhouse, I knew it was from Crunchyroll. I just haven't touched it.
One of the funny things casinos will do is have like themed slots.
Mm.
And so you get like, Sopranos slots or like Succession slots. They have deals with HBO for some reason. I don't really know. But it is like this thing where it's like once you see a media property you like on a slot machine, I feel like it automatically makes that media property less art and more a media property, right? Like it's just like you see
Yeah,
it
no, for
and you're just
sure.
like, "Oh man, this sucks. This is
Like,
terrible."
oh, Tony Soprano's my goat. Obviously, he's gonna pay me out big, and then you spend like $500 in the slot machine. You
I
know,
mean, yeah,
they
if
got
Tony
your ass.
Soprano was your goat, that is a thing you would do probably.
Mhm.
That seems about right. You play like
But also,
Kendall.
Tony Soprano putting his face on a slot machine is a thing that Tony Soprano would do.
It is. I would like to play like Kendall Roy slots where you just like get really close to the jackpot the entire time and then like in the last minute you like trip and fall over your own dick. That would be I would play that. That seems fun to me.
That was roughly that entire show for me. I hated that show.
You hated that? That is one of my favorite shows of all time. It is an unbelievably funny show. It is so good.
I don't like it when I hate all the characters.
See, like that for me, like the guy who wrote Succession is the guy who wrote, again, one of my favorite shows of all time, Peep Show. It's like a British TV show. Very, 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 very funny. None of the characters on it are even close to being a decent person. Like they are all just the worst people alive, borderline psychopaths and users, and just like the shittiest people you've ever met. It's very funny though, because it speaks to, in my humble opinion, the shitty part in every one of us. Because every one of us has impulses to be a shitty person. No one is out there like just, oh, I've never even thought about being a dick. You've thought about it, you just chose not to. And I think that like,
No, I chose to do it in my
oh,
20s.
right, sure, yes.
All the time, every day.
But yeah, that's why I like shows like that so much, is they speak to like the worst parts of us and they're like, "Hey man, you'd probably do this shit too, man. And you'd look like just as much of a jackass as I do right now."
I have great news, Cam.
Yeah.
I found the Chinese dagger variant.
Yeah, you see what I'm talking about, right? Like, dude,
Look, all of them are very good art. I will say
a
that.
solid third of the frame is her ass. It's pointed directly at the
No,
camera.
it's not a third. It's like an eighth, but
It's pointed directly at the camera. Like it's like
it is pointed directly at the camera. Yes, it is
it's
that.
like it's very much like if you were to do an analysis
Also,
of this art, it is the focal point of the art.
she's it is definitely the thing that is like closest to you. You know, like the
Yes.
Ms. Marvel Dan Hip with the
Yes.
fingernails, right?
Giant,
It's
yes.
like that. It's
Yeah.
like that, but dagger cakes. So
Yeah.
she's making a little dagger thing, and then there are teddy bears. Like she's in a round one or something, like some sort of arcade. But
I
it's
did
like
not notice anything else in that art.
I'm trying to take it all in, you know?
You ask me what color her hair is, I would have to guess. Now I'd guess blonde, which is right, but that's because I know the character.
She is blonde, yeah. You
Yeah.
nailed it.
Yep. But yeah, like it's just like you like that one stuck out to me because like you look at the other ones and they're just like they're not very sexual at all. They're just like, sport variants. It's like Wiccan playing soccer with speed and they just look like normal people. And then bam, dagger. It's crazy.
So there is a Squirrel Girl one as well.
Also, there is a
And
squirrel girl that is uniquely caked
she
up,
is
yes.
she is also like turned to the side so that you get like a full, cheek and a half.
Yeah, it's definitely like, wow, okay, that these are artistic choices that you've made that do not feel as though they were artistic choices so much as like, primal urges.
All right, so the Wiccan and Speed ones,
They're just so
I
normal.
I don't have any affiliation with like soccer or football or even Blue Lock even. So that said, I would still play with this Wiccan variant
Mm,
because it's like the best one that exists in Snap. Speed, I think, has actually some competition. There's like a Yoshimizu, I think, and then the fashion one is also
sure.
decent. But
Yeah, I just like I saw people complaining of though like there've been a lot of complaints about like why don't we get the stuff the Chinese server does, and I guess that actually probably is worth discussing. The answer is it's a different dev team and they're not actually doing the same thing. But
it's a different game, period.
yes, it's just like a different server, a different dev team. They're working on different things, and I keep seeing people that are talking about like why does the Chinese server get more stuff than the North American server? And it's like, A, do they? Or B, is the argument more that we should be special instead of them? Like that's what it always feels like to me. Is like whenever this comes up, I can't help but look at this and see like this is sort of explicitly an argument that they should get less and that we should get more, and that somehow them getting more comes at the expense of us.
Okay, so you just saw these variants, right? You didn't actually look at any of the Reddit posts.
No,
What
God.
is a way can what is a way for me to like send you a thing currently? I don't think I have your number. Uh
I mean, my phone isn't even in here. You could just read them out.
no. It's an image that
It's an image.
you must see.
Well, this is a podcast, Jerry. You can't send me an image. Describe the image in an audio format that our listeners
I
can.
I literally can't.
Yes, you
Yeah.
can.
I took a picture and I'm gonna show you on my
That's
phone.
so much worse.
Okay?
Okay,
And if you want to describe it to the
I
audio
will.
listeners,
You had to move it over the other
uh
way. It's Galacta with like the world's fattest ass. It's like it's like a comically cheeked up Galacta about to sit on the Earth. Which actually, I don't know if you're aware of this. They made a Twitter account for Galacta back in the day, and
oh
it
yeah, I
is
saw this.
it is entirely just like the author's barely disguised fetish, where it's just like her tweeting like just ate an enchilada brap brap, and you're just like what the fuck. So this that Galacta is actually probably the most comic accurate possible Galacta, in that she is a character who exists to be that.
Yeah, someone just posted this and was like, "This variant was apparently leaked a few weeks ago. Obviously, didn't get added." And I don't know if they made it themselves or it is some image that
I'm
exists or
assuming
whatever.
that's a
But
I'm assuming that's a
it is
gag,
hilarious.
but yeah,
It is hilarious.
now you see that's the point. Like I talked about like taking something too far and then it loops around to being funny. That's what
Mm,
they should be doing. Like that Galacta variant, hysterical, extremely funny. Like it loops back around. Whereas the dagger stuff, I just look at that and I'm like, you're jerking off to this, aren't you? Like, I know someone somewhere is jerking off to this. It's happening.
yeah, you could say that about anything though.
I suppose that's true, but I would imagine it's probably a little harder to jerk off to like whatever is going on in that galactic picture. Where you're just like, I feel like you'd probably be a little bit busy laughing. Like maybe just me. Like it just reminds me of those. You know those pictures on Twitter that go viral with like the AI skeletons or like the poorly CGI'd skeletons walking through like Los Angeles, and it's like, what would you do in this situation? I feel like I need the image of that Galacta so I can post on Twitter like, what would you do in this situation?
Oh, don't worry, brother. I will copy and send this
What
to you so you have it after the show.
Sure, yeah. It's like, what would you do in this situation? Expect to see that post tomorrow, or by the time this releases, maybe it'll be today. It's just gonna be WYD in this situation, and it's just like Galacta ass. What are you doing in this situation? I need to know. What is your survival plan if out of
What
nowhere an ass covers the northern hemisphere?
no, what is your opening line or whatever on one of those
Yeah.
posts?
How do you
How do you
open,
open?
fellas? How do you open? Oh man, I think I would probably talk to her about my extensive anime figurine collection. I think she would find that interesting.
Oh, I feel like you just go on her Twitter account and see what she's into, right? Just be like, "Oh,
Enchiladas,
you like eating, yeah, there you
yeah,
go."
like it is. She has less followers than me, which is a crime with an ass like that, honestly. But it just goes to show you that like you don't have to be incredibly caked up to get Twitter followers. You just have to be mildly good at a video game.
World ain't fair. I mean,
Yeah,
that's male privilege right there.
yeah. What ass appears over the northern hemisphere? What's your game plan? What's the first thing you're going to go get?
I don't think my life changes.
Well, I mean, presumably it'll hit the ground at some point. Just
Yeah.
like it'll be like, you know, so it's first impact and then second impact, but it's just the two different cheeks.
Mm.
It's like so we'd have like first impact probably in Alaska, second impact I want to say Europe. That's sort of the scale I'm getting out of that art.
But it's also possible that, like, at some point, whatever, tectonic wave
Right.
is created from first impact happens before second impact. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, I mean, I don't know if my butt cheeks are perfectly symmetrical. That's an interesting question. I think I think I would guess they would be simultaneous impacts and would presumably, you know, I guess the ass crack would fall if we're looking like Alaska to Europe. Ass crack hits like Pennsylvania is sort of where I'm ballparking it. So that like that line is safer. Like if you're
Yeah.
like the longitude of Pennsylvania down, you're like you're
Except you get hit by, like, that tectonic wave, and
right.
then second impact happens, you get caught in the other wave.
Right, but
You
like
end up just, like
everyone got obliterated in like, England and Alaska or whatever. Just
yeah, which is fine.
completely just evaporated. Just gone.
I'm in Virginia, like, that's pretty close. I think I'm
Yeah,
safe.
you might make it. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. I mean,
That's what I'm saying, man. My life doesn't
no.
change. I'm just like,
Yeah,
"Alright."
no, I mean that so you just like I feel like my move would be, you know, grab a camera and then post on Twitter what you doing in this situation. That's I think that's my move. That's really the only thing you can do if you're in that situation in reality is just post on Twitter and ask what are you doing in this situation?
Or just tweet at her.
Can you stop please at Galley Girl? I think that's what it is. It's either Galley Girl or like Galley underscore girl. And it's
Well,
something
it
along
was
those
something
lines.
silly.
It's very funny character. I I would say I don't know why she exists, but unfortunately, thanks to her Twitter account, I do know why she exists. There's a whole plot line with her where she is supposedly like she has like a cosmic tapeworm. And it's like a whole thing where she just can't get full. And it is later
Mm,
revealed that she is pregnant. It's a
right.
thing. Yeah, it's like a
I do remember
whole
reading about that.
like I don't think there's a tasteful way to handle what it is that she does or her whole character concept, but I whatever I will say this, I don't think they handled it tastefully. Like I'm not sure there was a good way to execute on it, but the way in which they executed on it was quite shocking to me personally.
Might have been one of those things where before all this happens,
Mhm.
maybe they ask, "Is this something we should do?"
Did you know that DC made a comic book of Harley Quinn farting?
No, but not surprised. I don't know.
Yeah, that happened like this year. They were like, we give up. We're cashing in. Go buy this if you have a fart fetish. And then they just made that book.
That's so weird given that the Harley show is actually good.
I'm not good enough to keep her out of the whatever you'd call like the prison that she clearly is in that context.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know,
That's
I don't know what level of hell you have to be in as a fictional character to be like the fart fetish girl. But that can't feel good.
well, she is a fictional character, so it probably doesn't feel much, but
Right, but like in a sort of meta narrative context wherein, let's say imagine this fictional character is real and that this is something being forced on her. That would be a deeply
yeah,
horrific thing.
it's gotta be it's gotta be someone. I mean, obviously they could just do like some throwaway character, right? But like it
Yeah.
is much better for them monetarily to do it with a character that is popular, right? So I don't know, it's like not really her fault. It's not like, oh, you suck so bad, therefore
Sure.
this. She's a victim of her own success to some degree.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only real question I have is when is Marvel going to get around to doing that and who would they do it with?
I mean, I'm not gonna say that Marvel is good
You think they just wouldn't
because
do it?
they're not. I just don't think that. I don't know. It is so much more than like jumping the shark,
Yeah,
right?
it's a deeply unpleasant thing to learn that happened, you know? Like you learn about it and you're like, I feel like my world got worse for learning about this.
Yeah, it's like you're doing this because you want to cash in, but like it's not even a good cash grab.
Nope.
You're like Crunchyroll would never, right?
Crunchyroll
They would
would
make a
absolutely.
no, they would make a thing that's like maybe pretty good or pretty popular and then just charge you a lot for it or whatever, right? And they
Crunchyroll
would
would
make more money that way.
absolutely. I mean, maybe Crunchyroll run, but like an online casino, okay?
Sure.
100%. Something like headquartered in like Curacao. Slot machine.
Why is Curacao catching stray? I got friends that live in Curacao.
No, that's actually where like a lot of online casinos are headquartered. It has absolutely like there's no joke there. It's just like where they are.
No, I know. Like my friends worked for the Pinnacle Sportsbook. Like
Oh,
that's why.
well, yeah. What do you mean? That's not a stray. That's not an accidental bullet. That's like I hit exactly what I was aiming for, which is
Yeah.
the offshore sports books. Like that's yeah, it's
Do you
exactly.
know about the like pro tour to Curacao pipeline?
I am familiar with at least one legendary Magic player who did go on to work for Pinnacle. Yes.
Which one?
I don't want to like just throw that out there. Like I know Kai
I
did
mean,
is
it's
what I was gonna say.
oh sure.
Yeah, but
No, that's what I was gonna say. Is it like a
okay,
lot of them did? Like it's not
yeah,
a like, oh, we're embarrassed about this thing. No, like they
yeah.
got a real job making real money.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good gig if you can get it. Not gonna argue that. But yeah, that's again like it's definitely not a stray. That's where they are. Like that's where like
I didn't know
steak
they were all on
is.
Curacao. I just
Oh
thought it
yeah.
was like Pinnacle happens to be there. Maybe it's like, that area of
Mm-mm.
things,
Yeah,
but
it's
it
like
is just Curacao.
Curacao. Curacao explicitly is like really easy on it, and then a couple of other like sort of islands in that range. It'll happen there,
Mm.
but like Curacao is like I think Curacao is steak. I want to say Curacao is like Bovada. I think like a lot of the bigger
I didn't
sports
know
books.
I didn't know they were steak. That's funny.
Yeah.
I know that
So
Curacao was Dutch owned.
mm,
Maybe still is, but I always found that to be kind of funny too.
so yeah, but like what I'm saying is any of those books, because keeping in mind sports books exist pretty much explicitly not as a loss leader. Nothing's a loss leader per se in the casino, but the reason a sports book exists is to get you into the casino and then you go play slots, which is where the casinos make their actual money. So keeping this in mind, all of these sports books are also attached to casinos. 100% chance one of them would produce a slot machine game involving the fart emojis, like some stink lines, the poop emojis, and Harley Quinn's face. 100% chance. I can't believe it doesn't already exist, actually.
I don't know that it doesn't.
I suppose that's true. I do find it hard to believe that it wouldn't.
Yeah. I mean, maybe not now, but like some part in the past, perhaps. Like this was maybe a short-lived machine or something. I don't know.
Yeah. What is it you were gonna say about the Pro Magic to Curacao pipeline?
Oh, I wasn't like straight up offered a job there, but I was definitely like offered to like get flown down and have an interview or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I'm good.
What is it exactly that qualifies? Like, what is the job that all these people are doing? Is it like odds making?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean,
And
obviously there are a lot of different things you can do from there, and like this was 20 years ago or whatever when it started. So I think folks that started just like adjusting betting lines are probably like doing managerial things, for example, because
sure.
a lot of people are just still down there.
What's the skill set overlap here? Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like card gamers aren't good at other shit, but like, is the skill set, is there such a lack of like degenerate gamblers or at the time that they were just like card gamers are our option?
It's the same thing. And like, how do professional Magic players end up working at Wizards of the Coast? Like, they do not have any traditional game design like experience or education or anything, and there isn't really anything uh in that vein as far as I know for sports books, right? It was very much just like this one guy, Ted Knutson, I think got a job at Pinnacle and then was like, hey, there's this talent of players who I'm sure would be good at this job. uh you know, and they were just like looking for more people, I guess.
Ted
And it was
has
just like, yeah, we'll just start pulling from Magic people, and that was it.
Ted has circled back into my like, I knew him from being like the editor at Star City. Like that's how I knew the name.
Mhm.
Um and then like 5 years ago he shows up on my Twitter feed and he's like a sports data guy now.
Yeah.
And he's like a really good at it. And it's like, wait,
Mhm.
what the hell? How did you pull this off? Like, there are a lot of Magic players who are extremely successful in their fields as a result. Like Ifro, for example, he's got a World Series of Poker bracelet. He's a millionaire, right? Like just off poker winnings. And obviously, I don't know like what his actual finances are, but I know he's won a lot of money playing poker, right?
Yeah.
And like you look at guys who have taken their like Dave Williams, another great example, right? Take the skill set, apply it elsewhere. To have someone transition from not necessarily Magic player even for Ted, but like not that he wasn't, but like he wasn't like, you know, a pro tour winner or whatever. He wasn't like that.
No, but as far as I know, he was a sports guy before he was a Magic guy. And while he was doing the
Ah,
Magic stuff, he was still being a sports guy, and then uh got the Pinnacle job. I don't know if like he was looking to leave Magic or just happenstance or how it came about or anything, but uh yeah, just like has been a sports guy his entire life.
no, I mean that's a home run is what I'm getting at here. Like that is like someone who has wildly outplayed expectations, outkicked the coverage. Just when you think about the average like former Magic guy, Ted Knutson has to be like the top percentile.
I think you're looking at it wrong where you're looking at him like a Magic guy, whereas he is a guy who had this very special interest and happened to dabble in Magic, and
Mm,
that was his primary thing, like when it was convenient or whatever. But I don't think that it was necessarily like the thing that he loved the most, right?
that makes
So
sense.
I think that he is just a sports guy who happened to dabble in Magic. That's kind of how
I
I look at him.
that is sort of that is more accurate to me than not, unfortunately. Like right now I'm wearing a Randy Moss shirt. Like I don't you don't know who that is probably. Even though you are of an age to know
He
who
was
that is.
he was a wide receiver for the Vikings.
How much of that was guessing based on the color of my shirt?
Number 80. What is it?
Not 80,
Oh,
but
oh,
84.
oh, close. I don't know.
Yeah. How much of that was
That's what
shirt
popped into
related
my head.
though? How much of that was shirt
No,
related?
I mean, I was born in Minnesota.
Sure.
Like, I can only
So
escape that shit for so long, you know? Like,
okay.
and also
All right.
I was interested in sports for a while. We talked about how much I basically don't know, but
Yeah. No. It's one of the things that has been shocking to me is I'm in a sports Discord created by Brian Braunduit, and
mhm.
there are three teams that are represented in that Discord prominently. They are the Minnesota Vikings, the Chicago Bears, and the New York Giants. I do not think you could find three more depressing teams. And I'm developing a theory of Magic players
B
wherein none of them root for good teams. That is my fundamental theory of
BBD is
Magic
the
players.
Vikings guy, right?
That is correct.
Yeah, okay,
And
that's what I thought.
in as much as you can be not depressed while being a fan of a franchise like that, he has found a way to do it, and I am very proud of him for that. But like it is just insanely funny to me that like you source a bunch of sports fans from Magic players and you get just three of the sorriest sad sack franchises you could possibly come up with.
Well, there's like I don't know, like the Yankees and like whatever fucking team the Mannings are on or whatever. It's like you can root for those teams or you can root for the
Wow, they
Nutlers,
are
right?
both retired.
I'm just saying like in their heyday. Like I don't even know if the Yankees are good anymore. You know
They
what I
are
mean?
actually, they are still good
Like
somehow
is
in some
A-Rod
way.
still alive? I have no idea.
He owns the Minnesota Timberwolves now, basketball team. Yeah.
I know the Timberwolves is a basketball team. Thank you.
Okay, I really wasn't sure you would know that. And I don't really think you can get mad at me for not thinking you would know that.
Again, I lived in Minnesota, man. I can
Yeah.
only be so ignorant, you know?
I don't know. Maybe you just Irish goodbye, you know? Maybe you just Irish goodbye the Timberwolves. It's
It's,
entirely
it's not what
possible.
that's not what that means. When I Irish goodbye
You're
you, it
very
doesn't
good
mean
at it.
well, I am very good at it, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I immediately erase your existence from my mind. I wish I could do that with many people and
Well,
many bits of knowledge, but
I mean, then how good at an Irish goodbye can you be if you don't immediately erase their existence from your mind?
well, really, how good was I if I was there in the first place?
Yeah, why do you leave your house? Maybe I'm better at this than you are because I just refuse all social engagements and don't go outside.
Yeah, but I think we would both have the same experience where if and when we did show up to a thing, people are like, "Oh, it's like fancy and special because this person is here and they don't normally hang out with us."
Nah. I guess I wouldn't know because I don't
Yeah.
show up to things. I have no idea.
No, I've had that experience where like I go to a thing and people are like, "Oh, wow, you normally don't come out." And it's like, "Yeah, true."
Yeah, I don't.
And
I
now because
don't
you say shit
normally.
like that to me, I'm not coming back.
Yeah,
Why you
I'm
gotta
not
make it
coming
weird?
back and I'm leaving without saying goodbye. I'm going to disapparate from this party. I'm gone.
Yeah. Pee pee poof.
You won't even see me. You won't even hear me. You won't even notice that we both just disappeared.